Hey everybody, it's Jen Jewell with InjaFit, and I am going to do, hopefully this will be very quick, just a video log talking about IIFYM, flexible dieting, and this notion that if you flexible diet, that it is healthier for you to go into extreme absolute caloric deficits. So the great news is that people are catching on to the idea that, hey, you are all eating macronutrients, that you, even if you're on a meal plan, that essentially you are eating macronutrients. So those who say macros don't exist obviously don't understand nutrition, because macronutrients exist in the foods that you're eating, even on a meal plan. And flexible dieting is great because it gives autonomy of food, gives variety, supports digestion. But what I see happening now is we are applying macro counting to extreme caloric deficits. So what the essential problem is metabolically for people, especially women that I see, is the hours of cardio and the low deprivation food. They're doing that now with macros, and it's like, okay, well, I count macros, so this is healthier. But essentially, you are still in an extreme caloric deficit. So 800 calories a day, regardless if it fits your macros or not, is still an extreme caloric deficit, and still has metabolic repercussions on the other end. So I just caution you, as you are looking to, change up your dieting approach and your contest prep approaches, to kind of look outside just what you are eating and exactly how you are doing it instead. So if your contest preps result in, an hour and a half, 2 hours of cardio a day, if they mean you get down to these extreme deficits of like 700-800 calories a day, if you are coming out on the other end with extreme digestive stress, hormonal repercussions, all of these things start to add up. And if you are doing that, then you need to look at what you're doing to get yourself there. And I posted about building versus taking, but you have to put yourself into building phases of metabolism, not just taking phases of metabolism. And I think that a big problem is social media because we see people constantly in contest shape. We see them doing show after show, and they're constantly in the taking end of metabolism. And then they'll hashtag IIFYM, and that's not necessarily realistic. So just because you eat all the foods doesn't mean you can go into these extreme deficits and not have repercussions on the other side. So in the perfect world, in my opinion, just my opinion, you would flexible diet and you would coax your body into shape, and you would have a very big building season as opposed to small building season, lots of taking seasons. So you're building up your metabolic capacity, and then when you go into a deficit, your body is actually working with you, because that fine-tuned instrument of your endocrine system, all the cells are firing where you want them to be, as opposed to constantly taking from your metabolism, which I see happening because there's this pressure now to compete all the time. There's all these shows, there's photo shoots, there is posting on social media where people feel they have to look a certain way, and you can still look really good and not be in extreme caloric deficits. But the problem is so many people are afraid to get out of it. So they keep taking from their metabolism and not building it. And so back to what I was talking about in the beginning with flexible dieting and IIFYM, it is not an excuse for you to still go into these extreme deficits and extreme absolute diets where you're basically eating nothing, but then saying, well, if it fit my macros. So because at that same time where you're in that caloric deficit, you're also you're in that taking phase, but like fitting in a Snickers bar, if you're only on 700 calories, is going to leave you feeling like absolute garbage the rest of the day. So you have to be a little logical about this stuff and think about it with critical thinking, right? Not just like, oh, okay, well now I can eat whatever I want within my 700 calories and it doesn't matter. You still have to come out on the other end, and we can say, okay, well, you can reverse diet, which is fantastic. Reverse dieting is a great way of coming out of your show. But I can tell you right now that if you are in these extreme deficits of 700-800 calories, even 900 calories a day, coming out of it in a reverse is going to be absolutely impossible. So I'm going to talk about that in another video. I'm going to talk about reverse dieting and sort of what, because I've been reverse dieting clients for years now, and I think it's kind of funny because it's turned into reverse supplementing, not reverse dieting. And I'm going to talk more about that in another video. But remember, you got to be building more than you are taking from metabolism. And flexible dieting is not an excuse for continuing to smash your metabolism into the ground. You can eat all the foods and still do that exact same thing.